Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Spit Take Podcast. I am here with my co-host, Steph.
Hello.
And joining us today are two special guests. We have Zuzu Weingart and Kyle Weingart, and they just released a new movie, Cuisine de la Pocalypse. Sometimes it's hard to say. But Kyle is the writer and director, and Zuzu is the producer and lead actress. So welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yep. Oh, I think we lost Zuzu.
Might have lost Zuzu, yeah.
That's all right.
Well, when she's here, she's happy to be here. I'm sure I can speak for her a little bit.
Yep. So yeah, tell us. I guess we'll start with you. Then tell us in your own words about the movie. What's it all about? We've seen it, but we want to hear from you.
Cool. So it's a post-apocalyptic comedy about following your dreams, and it's in this film. It's about a world where every apocalypse that you could imagine has happened. So we have robots, zombies, volcanoes, comets, and it's about one chef's journey to becoming a celebrity chef in that world.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was crazy that you guys went with every apocalypse.
Yeah, it kind of gave a never-ending Pandora's box on what we could do. So that was kind of nice.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought it was fun because there's robots, meteors, zombies, a little bit of everything. You got to touch on a lot of different genres of movies, and you can tell some of the inspirations as you kind of go through. Some of it, getting into like the kind of wasteland area where you had all the bikers and everything, had a very Mad Max feel to it.
Yeah. Sorry about that, people.
No, you're fine. So, I mean, I guess that would be my next question is what were like some of the inspirations for this movie?
So there was, in tone, we really based a lot off of like Spaceballs and Holy Grail and that kind of stuff, just a lot of fun. But as far as like certain scenes and stuff we took inspiration from, there's a whole sequence that's kind of dedicated to Scooby-Doo. Obviously there's some Mad Max thrown in there for sure. We took a lot of inspiration from Thunderdome, even though that's like my least favorite of the Mad Max movies. Obviously Thunderdome's just, that whole aspect's a lot of fun. And then even movies like Harry and the Hendersons, there's a whole kind of scene where we kind of play with that a little bit too. So pretty much every 90s movie you can think of.
Nope. Okay, there she is.
There we go.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm sorry. I'm in an attic, and was it just me? Was it just mine that went away?
Yep. Perfectly fine.
Maybe it's the internet connection here. I'm so sorry if it happens again. I don't know. I don't know
It's
what
all
to
right.
do.
Okay.
We have
It's usually me, so
Yeah.
I'm happy it's somebody else that's having issues.
Yeah, we usually try to like get on and start recording at like 8:30 on Tuesdays, and we end up being at like 8:45, 8:50 because she was having so many issues with her audio, like couldn't hear us, couldn't talk to us. It's like one or the other. Found out her phone was just connected to the computer. So,
Oh, great. We lost Kyle.
and we lost Kyle.
There he comes.
Sorry. Okay. Now I'm back. I don't know.
All right.
All my sound went away.
We'll get it.
All
It's
right.
all right. I'm going to piece it together and edit it. It'll feel seamless when you hear
Okay.
it. So,
It sounds good.
but yeah, so you were saying you had a lot of inspirations from different things from the 90s, which, obviously had a very 90s feel with the cassette tapes and everything. So, but yeah, I loved that aspect of it. I love that you were able to touch so many genres because I'm a huge movie nerd. It's why we started this podcast. All those movies you mentioned, I've seen probably 100 times.
Nice.
Kids from the 90s. But yeah, Harry and the Hendersons, I caught that. There was Terminator references. There was a little bit of everything. So,
Yeah.
and again, that made it a lot more fun to me. And I was a huge fan of Monty Python and, obviously Mel Brooks movies, but who isn't? So
Yeah, very true. I know I get kind of like weirded out. They're like, well, what inspired you? And I'm like, I don't want to say Mel Brooks because he's like the best, and you don't want to, not comparing myself to him, but we definitely took a lot of inspiration from him,
Right. Kind of like some of the silly stuff. Like there's things that are never explained and are just kind of off the wall. And I love that. Like the fact that he has a whole kitchen set up and out in the woods and there's no reason for it because he's just carrying that little wicker basket.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, no, it's we called that on set the basket of plenty because we're
Yeah.
just like, well, he gets it out of his basket of plenty and it's fine. And if people are questioning that, then they're watching the wrong movie.
right.
You kind of got to just enter the world.
Yeah, but that's also what was fun, and I've always been a huge fan of like the indie movies and some of like the lower budget movies because you can also tell the directors, the actors, they're having fun with it, and they don't feel like they owe you an explanation for anything, and that's kind of the fun part about it. Like you said, get lost in that world.
Yeah,
awesome.
I did have one question though. When he's cooking, this is the one issue I had. He was making chili on the road, and that's risky.
it is risky, because it's always better the second day, which he mentions. But yeah, it's a whole thing. He also made venison tenderloin, and yeah, he made a lot of different random stuff. The chili would be the one that is I don't know where he got the beans, but yeah.
I was more concerned about the plumbing issues. It's like, you gotta go.
That's true.
Yeah, but that is like an interesting thing with the movie is you see a lot of post-apocalyptic movies where everybody's trying to survive and everything, but nobody ever really touches on the food. They'll say like, "Oh, I missed this meal or that," but to have an actual chef, and it's like all the problems that they run into are solved by his cooking, but it's something you don't really think about, like how valuable of a skill that would really be in an apocalypse. So
totally, it's a commodity, to have that kind of stuff, and in a world where there's not a lot of that stuff, I think realistically, as ridiculous as the concept of it is, people, if there was an apocalypse like that, would totally just kill for a good meal like that.
Absolutely.
They really would.
Definitely. So you watch movies or shows like The Walking Dead or anything like that, and they're just kind of grilling up some meat or something, but where's the flavor coming from? Are they finding the salt and pepper they need? Like, so you don't know. It's like they're just trying to survive, but then you don't realize, you know what? It would be good to have a nice home cooked meal
and a nice paella every once in a while.
Exactly.
Really spice things up.
Of the two of you, who's the chef at home?
Oh, Kyle, for sure.
Most of those dishes, besides the paella, are things we cook, on the daily. So not daily, but monthly, I'll say, I guess.
Yeah, I'm the griller in our household. My wife is the she's in the kitchen. She's the cook. I stay out of her way. I don't go in there. I'm like, do whatever you got to do. If you need help, let me know. But she's also somebody who can dip her finger in a sauce and say, it needs more of this, which I'm like, I need a recipe. I need to follow exactly teaspoons. But she's amazing with that, but she's been doing it since she was little. Also the baking, but she couldn't grill to save her life. I watched her burn steaks and everything trying before. So
yeah,
Zuzu's a tremendous baker. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
You're a great baker.
I can bake, but yeah.
What's the thing your kids ask for when you bake?
Oh, we do a lot of sourdough, so they're always asking for that. We did a lemon blueberry loaf that they really liked the other day.
Oh wow, very nice.
I'll start to get on that.
Yeah. My wife just got on the making bread, so she's just doing standard bread right now. She's like, I'm going to start expanding sourdough and all these other things. So. But
nice. Yeah, that's the one thing I can do. I can do that, but nothing else in the kitchen.
And I think that's one of the good connections with the movie is if like you have had good food or if you're in a family that makes really good food, out of the kitchen, you connect with that a little bit more. If you're getting takeout all the time, you're like, well, I don't get it. It's like, it's because you're not having good food.
Yeah. Homemade food made with care by somebody who's like just excited for you to eat it,
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that I was wondering, because I was reading up on you, Kyle, and so like I know kind of your story. You started off in Montana, you moved to LA, you were doing some work, and then you moved back to Montana to actually make movies. So this movie actually kind of mirrors that journey a little bit, right?
It does, and I didn't realize that until somebody else pointed it out to me. They're like, "Oh, this is autobiographical," and I'm like, oh wait, it kind of is. Yeah. So yeah.
I guess that was my question. Was it intentional or just a happy accident?
Just a happy accident. I was just following the standard, hero's journey format, which I love. I just think that's, kind of the best format. And you got to go somewhere and learn and come back. And it just, I realized, I guess I just did the same thing.
Yeah.
So, it was kind of cool. I definitely identify with Chef John a lot, though. Like, he's my character, and like, so I don't know. It kind of makes a lot of sense, honestly, but I thought it was all organic, but no, I think I was pulling from my,
Well, I think that's what you do as a writer. Like, I always loved writing, and every character in the story had elements of me in there. So even whether it's conscious or subconscious, like, there's always elements of yourself inside of the hero. So you're probably just writing it without even knowing.
I know. I'm like, oh, this is so interesting. How do I come up with this crap?
This is my life.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And then, so I guess what would you think is what did Annie represent in your journey that ended up taking you back to Montana?
Could you ask that one more time?
Yeah. So Annie being like the antagonist and everything towards the end, what did she represent? What's she a representation of in your actual life? If you had to make some kind of connection there.
I mean, realistically, I guess, because it's AI, right? I mean, we are in a time where our jobs are like a little bit, on the fence in some aspects because of AI. So maybe that's what I was getting at. I don't know.
It would have been an easier question if it had been an intentional connection between you, but
no, it was just like, what's the complete opposite. When I was writing it, it was more of a like, what's the complete opposite of, cooking in an apocalyptic scenario, and, like breaking bread and having like this organic, conversation and relationship building. Well, it's like, artificial everything, because John and his food really represents like a basic human need that they all need, where AI needs none of that, So it was literally just finding his shadow. Yeah.
I know, because I know there's a lot of people who get out to Hollywood, they're doing their thing, and then, once they start finding out how much control studios have over stuff, that ends up sending them away to kind of start doing their own thing. Jon Favreau did that after his post-Iron Man stuff. He made the movie Chef, which was a representation of how the studio was treating him and everything. So I was curious if you had an experience like that you were like, you know what? I'm going to go do my own thing in Montana.
No, not like specifically, but I had the movie Chef. I love that movie, and I love the whole story behind it and all that. So I know when we were moving back, that was one of the reasons that me and Zuzu decided to move back. We're like, well, there's such a film is starting to happen a lot in Montana, and it's like we'd only been working on other people's movies, down in LA. So it's like, gosh, we really want to do our own thing, and everybody back home is doing really good doing their own thing. So we were able. I knew that was one thing when we got our investor. He kind of made the deal with us. He's like, well, I want to be the only one, because I don't want anybody else to come in and try to tell you guys how to make your movie. I want to just stay out of the way and let you guys do whatever it is you want. So we had pretty free reign on set to tell the story as ridiculous as we wanted to tell it.
And that's awesome. And that's what I love about indie movies. And like the indie market everywhere is taking off right now because people are actually telling their stories or their versions of the stories. You see it a lot in gaming right now. The indie games are taking off and people are buying them because they're original ideas and they're not the same recycled games everybody's been playing. Same with like comic books, like you said, movies. Netflix had a huge surge in the quality of their movies because they were letting people do whatever they want. They said, we're going to stay out of it. We're just letting you sign on and we'll give you resources and you can go do it. So,
yeah.
And that's, I think that makes it fun, and you could do something like you did. I don't think you would have been able to do the exact same movie if you had gone with a big studio.
No, probably not. And it's funny because the idea itself, like as we were pitching it, we'd pitch it to some people and they'd be like, okay, like a cooking show in the apocalypse, but then other people we'd pitch it to and they're like, oh my gosh, I see it. Like, that's amazing. And they, we had people sending us props that we had talked to because they're like, I know, we're not going to be involved, but this makes sense in your movie. Can you put it in the movie? Like, just like,
sure.
There was a lot of people like really inspired by the idea, but then it is definitely kind of an out there concept that I don't think a studio would be like, yeah, let's fund this cooking show apocalypse thing.
Right. They'd probably give you a lot of notes and say like, hey, why don't we go down to one apocalypse? Why don't we
change the title?
Right. And I love the 8-bit transitions were a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I really like those as a gamer growing up in the 90s.
For sure. Yeah. A lot of the character sprites were based off of the game Chrono Trigger from back in the day. Yeah, so they were almost like, I don't want to say rip-offs, but very, very heavily inspired by.
Oh, absolutely. And that was one of the games I thought of, too, was like Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy, those kinds of games.
Yeah, totally.
Some of my favorites. Now, did you guys write this together, or was it mostly just you, Kyle?
Zuzu was extremely integral to it. Like, we had known that she was going to play a character in it because we built the whole story together and had been, building it for years. But when it came time to write the script, we sat there and outlined the script together for a long time.
Yeah, a couple weeks. Yeah. We did a very thorough outline of like every scene was going to hit these points, and we did that for the whole film, and then Kyle sat down and wrote it all.
That's fun. Working as a couple, though, were there arguments in there?
Never.
No, not at all.
We get along so well.
Projects are extremely difficult with couples.
Yeah, I think during the writing process, I think we were pretty in agreement on stuff because a lot of it was just kind of me throwing like idea after idea out and her kind of editing them like, well, this doesn't work and this doesn't flow with this. What about this? And I don't know. That was a good time. I did enjoy doing that. We had a good flow. And then on set too, it was mainly putting the producing aspect. There's just a lot of stress that goes into putting a project together. I think that was the only time we'd ever really argue was when it came time to that.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. And to think about, like, we've been working on Cuisine for like 5+ years. We've been married for 15 years. So that's a third of our marriage that we're working on a project together. So thinking about it like that, I think we're doing pretty good. We still like each other. So.
Yeah.
So I noticed, sorry, Adam.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So Laura was a super strong female lead. And I love that she was kind of the one that was like, I'm going to take over and I'm going to get us through all of these different apocalypse scenarios and I'm going to be the leader. She didn't want John coming. Was that intentional that she was supposed to be the one that's like, actually like, I'm in charge here and you boys can sit down?
You can answer that one, Zoo.
Yeah, it came from your brain. Character-wise, that's how I saw her, and that's how I wanted to portray her. Story-wise, Kyle, you should answer that because Laura was totally from your brain.
Yeah. So I mean, she was always the character that was supposed to connect this crazy world to the audience. Like, so there could be a character that could call out all the BS because there was so much BS in the movie. And I just thought, like, if any audience member like wanted to say, Cuisine all apocalypto or whatever, like it would be her. So she was the voice of the audience in a lot of ways. And I took a lot of inspiration from 90s movies and 80s movies. There was such strong female characters that could only be played like the role was specific to a woman, and like her role as the character, she grew up as this, a nurturing mother, where she had her husband who was kind of the protector, that was kind of established in the beginning. But when then he goes away, she has to assume that role as the protector, and that's kind of her journey. And I don't know, it's a role that could not have been played by a man, and instead we get my beautiful wife who just comes in and kind of bosses it around and calls everybody idiots. And yeah, I loved it.
I loved it. You were my favorite. So I was happy watching you and like getting into it. I was like, I would do the same thing. I'd be like, absolutely not. We're not doing this. What are you thinking? What's wrong with you guys?
Steph often refers to herself as the unofficial matriarch of the family. Like she controls everything, and we're all kind of like, sure you do.
I do. It's fine. So yeah, so I related very well to that. Now I'm not as big of a movie buff or nerd, if you will, as my brother is, or any of the males in my family. So like, it was nice to have a relatable character for me to be like, okay, that's more on like my speed. And it made the movie that much more fun to watch as well.
Awesome. I'm so glad to hear you say that, because that was the intention there, to ground, just to kind of ground the whole thing and to connect with the audience.
Yeah, definitely gets a little goofy, and no offense, but Andy was my favorite character in the movie.
Yeah, he's
that
so
happens.
great.
It's hard not to love Andy. Yeah, he's great.
He was so good. In that movie. He had the best lines, and I think like I laughed the hardest at the very end of the movie. When I believe it was your daughter, so like the girls were giving him a hard time, and he just like yells back at them. He's like, "They're so mean."
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
I was like, that's a real response to children.
Yeah. No, it was a blast, and he's an up and coming actor for sure. He's going to be in some big stuff.
He's going to go
talented.
far. I thought that while I was watching it, I'm like, he did such a good job selling that part. Mm-hmm. But, the fact that he has multiple parts throughout the movie is also funny. He
had a lot to do, and sometimes we go into these scenes and we're like, okay, well, the coverage is simple. Oh, except there's 7 of Andy, so we have to shoot this 7 different times.
Yep.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, he was great. I liked Lando too. He was hilarious. And I read I was going to say, I read that the movie was originally just supposed to be John and Lando.
Yeah, we made a few different proof of concepts, and the very first original one was and it used to be on YouTube. We took it off when we made this, released this, but there's a 20-minute short film about Cuisine de l'Apocalypse, and it's just John, and his actually name was Nilo in that one, which is the actor's real name. But when we did the feature film, he's like, I don't want to use my real name.
Sure.
But, so we changed it to Lando by committee. It was like a couple of days, I feel like, before we started filming. He's like, oh yeah, I don't want to go by Nilo. And we're like, what?
We didn't have a name for Lando until maybe the day before we started shooting. We're like, what's his name going to be?
So you had to go through the script and be like, all the places where they say his name, we got to change it.
Yeah, and which was challenging.
But I end up liking the name Lando.
Yeah, I think it was a great choice, especially because it's spelled E-A-U-X, which is just such a, land and then dough, but the dough is E-A-U-X.
Yeah.
It's such a Lando thing. It's just, it was perfect. But it was a challenge for the actors for sure. I know a couple of times people said Nilo in the takes, and we're like, oh, we can't use that. We got to do it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he had some very funny dialogue in there. The part where they're having dinner with Annie and everything, and he's just like, and she talked about her dog a lot. Did anybody hear? Like, she's talking about her dog. Like it's just something kind of out there that would be in almost a very real conversation, but also played for comedic effect.
It is, and I did not write that line. Lando was the most improvisational. Like, he brought every time we did a scene, he'd come to me right beforehand with like a page of notes, and he'd be like, dude, what if I said this, and how about this? And we typically would do it as written, and then I'd be like, okay, Nilo, go ahead and do what you want. And we ended up using 80% of what he came up with, because he was just so naturally funny. but yeah, the sexy spider line he just said.
He just said that, and I didn't know it was coming, and so it was very hard to keep my composure because he says it like right in my ear, and I'm like, oh shoot, that's really funny. Don't break.
That's got to be the best when you have somebody who could just like throw something out there that's so usable and so unique, and it's like at the same time you're like, I wish I thought of that line.
I know,
like writing it.
Yeah, there's this one article written and I feel so inauthentic about it because it's like, oh, and my favorite line was Kyle Weingart's sharp dialogue of, and then they mentioned the sexy spider. I'm like, oh, I didn't write that. Like, yeah, that's okay. But I think that's a big part of like what made, this movie what it is just, there was a big collaboration. Everybody had, something that they could, nobody felt hindered and unheard. We tried a lot of different things on set. And, some characters like Lando had that freedom because of who his character was. He was he was there to be, kind of the jester. And so if he had a better joke that he had written, there was a lot of technical jargon in the film too. That stuff had to be pretty specific. But as far as the comedy and stuff, we played with that a lot.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I love the movie, and like walking away from it, I was like, that was really good. And I was wondering how, because when your publisher first reached out to me, they had mentioned like, hey, so we had done this episode and it was titled Bad Movies That We Love. And she was like, hey, I heard you guys, I heard this episode, bad movies that you love. I think I got a movie you'll like. And I'm like, that's not selling it the best to me, but okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, we'll watch it. Yeah. Why not? So, but, I ended up being very, very thrilled by the movie just on, I've seen a lot of indie movies, a lot of low budget movies, but, this was way better than anything I was expecting. Cool. So I thought it was awesome. You guys did such a great job.
Thank you. It was very ambitious. Very ambitious, much bigger than we had originally planned. Especially, originally when it was just John and Lando, it was a disease. There was one apocalypse and everybody was gone, and it was all about the cooking. But then once we kind of brought in the concept of every apocalypse, then it was like, hang on, and very fast paced, a lot going on. It does. We have like some pretty dedicated fans that watch it a lot. Like this kid I was talking to the other day, he's like, dude, I've seen it 17 times now, and it gets better every single time. And I'm just like, dude, he's probably seen it about as much as I have now. But yeah, it's very fast paced. There's a lot going on. I mean, we were trying to get it down to like an hour and a half, because that's a typical comedy, but there was just so much in there. And I think it finishes at an hour and 48.
It was a little bit of a longer movie. Yeah, it was. But I mean, I don't feel like it really wasted any time either. There wasn't a lot of filler in there.
No. And we didn't really cut anything either. I can't. We cut one scene from the film, and that was something we shot after the fact anyways. I mean, we cut down certain aspects and cut a few lines here and there to tighten things up, but it's pretty close to script.
Okay. Very nice. Well, yeah, it was I guess that was tons of fun. Do you guys have a new project you're working on right now?
We do. Zuzu's got one she wrote.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it's very different from Cuisine, but we'll be shooting in 2026.
Awesome. Very cool. We'll keep an eye out for that one for sure. Steph, do you have more questions?
I do. And this is, you may not even have an answer for this one, but in the scene in LA when John was cooking for the Andes, there were so many Hawaiian shirts in the background. I'm a very big detail-oriented person. Why were there so many Hawaiian shirts? Was that like an homage to something, or was it just kind of like, we have a bunch of Hawaiian shirts we want to throw in there?
So that is, I think you're the first person to notice that. That was very intentional, but it was just me like trying to be meta because I was having a good time on the day. They're like, what should we put in here? And I'm like, so all those clothes are not just Hawaiian shirts. They're actually characters' clothes throughout the movie. So Lando's shirts in there, the Gam Gam and Pop Pop characters' clothes, which are Hawaiian shirts, they're back there because the whole idea is that they're in the studio of Cuisine de l'Apocalypse, so I was like, well, Cuisine de l'Apocalypse is also the movie. So she planned on recreating this entire thing here, and she has the wardrobe from the entire movie. Part of that was also because it was an indie film, but I came up, I was just like, oh, well, no, it's super meta. So yeah, but I think you're the first person to notice the clothes back there, but yeah.
I mean, I saw Lando's shirt, and then I'm starting to watch, and I'm like, I need to pay attention to what's going on in the movie. I'm like, but I like looking in the background. There were also a couple scenes where characters did break, and I saw them laughing at John. And, he gives a lot of Steve Carell vibes. I don't know if that was intentional or who he was drawing from, but I wouldn't be able to stay in character either. I'd break 100%.
He was definitely pulling some Steve Carell. That was talked about quite a bit. The Michael Scott, kind of the fool with the heart of gold kind of thing, yeah.
I think a lot of that is just natural from Kevin too. Sorry.
Really?
He gets it a lot. He gets Steve Carell a lot in his everyday life. And it's not just because of his how he looks, but also the way he talks. And so I think just naturally that comes through.
Yeah, I mean, he did a great job. But it was instant. I was like, oh, Michael Scott. Okay, let's do this. So please pass on that. He nailed it. Lando was giving me the John C. Reilly vibes.
Ooh, I haven't even thought about that, but yeah, I think you're right on the money there.
Yeah, I'm like watching, I'm like, okay, this is all, because there's a lot of influence in there from the 90s, as you guys had said. So it was fun to watch as somebody who was born in the early 80s and like kind of growing up in the 90s. Like I recognize that, like I never know what it's called, but the blue squiggle that was on like every background growing up in the 90s and on like the paper cups.
The paper water cups. Yeah.
I was like, maybe I'm dating myself here. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, which is one of the reasons that the movie connects real well, I'm sure, with more people who grew up in the 90s. There's a lot more connections there. Like I said, that just between the transitions, all your, all the little pop culture references you did. And I was like taking notes. I was like, I'm like, okay, I got that one. I got that one. I got that one. It's very nice. Yeah. But I'm sure there was a bunch that I missed too. And the next time I go to watch it, I'm definitely going to keep more eyes out for it.
Sure. Well, and a lot of it too was the actors, like Lando, Nilo always bringing me notes. He was like, dude, I'm just like the guy who says all the pop culture references. He's like, so he started coming up with other ones, like the scene where he starts going off like from Training Day. There's that scene where he's like, I'm going to have your hardware making spreadsheets in Pelican Bay. He just made that all up. He's like, dude, I'm going to do this whole riff off of Training Day and Denzel. And I'm like, he's like, and I'm going to say they're making I'm going to have your hardware making spreadsheets in Pelican Bay. And I'm like, all right, man, go for it. And then, it was just too good. And kind of within character, he really understood Lando. Yeah.
Yeah.
And having Emilio Rivera on there, I'm actually rewatching Sons of Anarchy for the probably 20th time. So when this came across, I looked up who everybody was and who's playing, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm actually more excited about this than I was previously. So
yeah, he was awesome.
So
he
great.
Kicked a lot of ass. Yeah. And he just made it. I mean, we had sorry, the loud car going by. We had a pretty cool cast, of people, but for whatever reason, Emilio made it feel like a movie, because you've seen him in so many things. I mean, of course, Sons of Anarchy, but he's like been in so many movies over the years where he's just kind of like this random villain or whatever. And so, yeah, it was so awesome to have him kind of at first he's a villain, but.
Yeah. Well, and Kevin Sorbo, of course, being in there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that was super exciting. I grew up on Hercules, so as soon as somebody brought him up, I was like, we can't get Hercules. And then, so then he came out, and he was awesome on set too. Yeah, everybody had a blast.
He always looks like he's having a ton of fun. It doesn't matter what he's doing. He's just like, I'm here to have fun with whatever this is.
Yeah,
the fact that he just comes back with no explanation, having a zombie army behind him in the movie is just.
Yeah,
ridiculous and awesome.
The whole explanation. I had to explain it to him on set, and he was like, "Okay, right on. All right, that makes sense." And I don't know. Now, when we were at the premiere, he's like, "Yeah, we got to do a sequel, and we got to do some of that explaining." And I'm like, "Okay, sure."
Just do like a whole separate storyline just for that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
It's a cool storyline, but yeah, the movie had too much in it. Yeah, we didn't have time.
Yeah, he always seems like he's a fun guy.
Yeah, he had a blast, and he had a whole, like, he got to choose what weapon he had that he came back with.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of hoping he'd come back with a battle axe, but he wanted a scythe.
Yeah.
So then we just kind of were like, all right, well, you're the Grim Reaper then, baby.
Yeah,
and just kind of leaned into it a little bit. Yeah,
I feel like you've got Kevin Sorbo and then Bruce Campbell, who are always competing for having like the best low budget movie, or who does the most of them. And two just wonderful actors that if they're in a movie, I'm like, I'll watch this.
Yeah, and we definitely talked about Bruce Campbell if trying to get him out for the movie too. It just didn't work out.
That's a shame. He's awesome. We've talked about Evil Dead on this podcast. I don't know how many times.
Mm-hmm.
Just every bit of it, because me and Rick are just huge Evil Dead nerds, and but yeah, Bruce Campbell, he's the man.
He's a legend. Yeah,
for sure. Well, I think we're about at time now, so I'll go ahead and wrap us up. So Kyle, Zuzu, thank you so much for joining us on the episode today, and we wish you guys the best in your future projects. Again, we love the movie. The movie was Cuisine de l'Apocalypse. Please go check it out. It's on Amazon, and where else can you get it?
You can watch it for free on Tubi. You can, but yeah, renting it from Amazon, you get the highest quality version of it. You can get HD, and then it's on YouTube TV to rent and buy, and then on Google Play to rent and buy as well.
Awesome. Well, there you have it. So again, thanks, guys. We really appreciate it. We had a lot of fun with you, and we hope you'll be back on the show sometime.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Just
thank you so much. That was great.
Thank you.
All right. See ya.